Sorry, hold on one second. Why the hell is this guy calling me over and over? Or no, he's calling me 3 times now.
Okay, so in this video, we're going to talk about Brittany Cartwright's recent comments, specifically about her worst days with Jax Taylor and, well, his whole history with a bipolar diagnosis.
Right, and the main thing here is how different their stories are. You have Brittany's memory of his struggles and this alleged prior diagnosis. And then you have Jax's own version of his mental health journey. It all kind of surfaced after an episode of The Valley and then more on the after show.
Okay, so let's start with Brittany's side. She describes some, well, pretty rough patches, talking about his behavior after these benders, she called them.
Yeah, and the come-down period afterwards, which sounded really difficult.
She mentioned he was just really inconsistent, right?
Exactly. She said he could be, fine one day and then screaming at me about who I'm dating. It points to some pretty big emotional swings happening.
And then the big piece, her claim that a doctor actually diagnosed Jax with bipolar disorder.
And this was apparently about a year before he went to rehab in 2024. Bipolar disorder, involves those significant shifts in mood, energy, thinking.
And she gave that really specific detail, too.
Oh, yeah. The prescription said it was never filled, just sat in her junk drawer, and that both she and Jax's sister had, pleaded with him to just try the medication.
Okay, but Jax,
yeah,
he tells it differently.
Yeah, somewhat. He does admit he got checked out, and they found, quote, something was wrong. So he acknowledges that part.
But not the bipolar diagnosis back then.
No. He's pretty firm that the first diagnosis was depression, persistent sadness, loss of interest, that kind of thing.
Right.
And that, he says, is why he didn't fill that first prescription. He then mentioned trying Lexapro, which is an antidepressant.
Okay, and how did that go?
Said he took it for 2.5 weeks maybe, and then just stopped.
So then fast forward to rehab, what happened there?
Well, Jax says he told the professionals, look, this Lexapro, it isn't working for me. And according to him, they basically said, well, you're not depressed. And then came the bipolar diagnosis while he was in rehab.
And how did you react to that?
He said he cried my eyes out, which, isn't uncommon. Getting a diagnosis like that can bring up a whole mix of emotions relief, maybe distress.
Yeah, I can imagine. He seemed almost relieved, though.
He definitely framed it as a turning point. Expressed relief, said he felt medication would finally fix this fucking problem, his words.
And he claims things have been better since.
Yeah, he stated he hasn't had any more blow-ups at all since he started the medication for bipolar disorder.
Interesting. And what about Zach Wickham? He weighed in too.
Right. Zach didn't seem surprised at all. He basically said, he's been diagnosed with that before. That's not an epiphany.
So that kind of aligns more with Brittany's timeline, doesn't it?
It does suggest that maybe others around Jax were aware of potential or actual earlier diagnosis. Yeah.
Okay, let's shift to that phone call incident. That really highlighted the tension still there between them.
Oh, absolutely. During the Valley, after show, right. Lala Kent pointed out Jax had texted Brittany, 14 times while she was filming?
Yeah, and they showed that flashback of Brittany seeing the calls and just being like, why the hell is this guy calling me over and over?
Total frustration. That kind of repeated contact, it could point to some anxiety, maybe difficulty managing impulses in the moment.
So we actually saw her answer one of the calls.
We did. She picks up, asks him straight up why he keeps calling and texting.
And his reason was?
First, it was just checking in, what's going on. But then later he mentioned having car issues and just generally a bad day.
Okay, trying to get some support maybe.
Possibly. But Brittany reminded him, hey, I'm filming right now.
And did that stop him?
Nope. He apparently just kept talking, kind of ranting, as the show put it, even though she clearly said she needed to get back to work.
And then he turned it on her.
Yeah, that was the twist. He accused her of being mean and short with him.
Wow, after calling her repeatedly while she's working.
Exactly. Brittany just kept saying, I'm not being mean, I just have to film. Eventually, he got off the phone.
And her comment afterwards.
What is my life?
Yeah.
Yeah. That really summed up the frustration, didn't it? It shows how tough their communication still seems to be, with different needs and expectations clashing.
So if you want to keep up with all this, make sure you subscribe to Real Tea TV.
Yeah, and hit that bell icon. You don't want to miss our next breakdown.